guys, it's Mandy from MandyleePlays, and in this episode I am doing a worth to buy for the Fire Emblem expansion Cindered Shadows. So with all that being said, let's get on to the video. So, Fire Emblem has had a history on the 3DS and the DLCs were very bad. And I'm going to tell you why. With Fire Emblem Awakenings, it wasn't as bad, but there is still DLC and it just gave you maps or extra modes to help, boost your stats or whatever. Nothing really crucial or story heavy. Even though there is a story DLC in here, it's not really anything to go home at. So I think this one wasn't as good for DLC, but it was the best out of the 3DS family ones because boy do they get worse. And next we have Fire Emblem Fates. Now this one is notorious because the last game is pretty much a DLC. So you have Fire Emblem Birthright and you got Fire Emblem Conquest, which are two different games, but then you got Fire Emblem Revelations, which is a DLC only kind of thing, and that one is super important to the story because it's ties everything together, and that is the canon ending really. So yeah, Fire Emblem Fates did DLC really badly, and they had more fan servicey stuff like beach vacation mode or something where everyone's running around in bikini and fighting. It doesn't make sense. Alright, and the last one, which is the worst one, and that is Fire Emblem Echoes. Man, I do love this game, but the DLC is outrageous. You know why that is? Because it's as expensive as the actual game. What? It adds nothing to the story. The maps are forgettable. Everything's just why is it $44? This is the most infamous of them all, and man do I hate it. So Fire Emblem has its histories of doing bad DLCs. Alright, now let's go back on over to Fire Emblem Three Houses, the Cindered Shadows. The first thing I do appreciate about this game or expansion is that it doesn't take the route of previous Fire Emblem games where they just sell you a bunch of maps and fan service items, things like that, because it wasn't good for the brand. So I'm glad they got rid of that and did this whole expansion pack more neatly packed in and not as expensive as the game. So that's kind of cool. So Cindered Shadows is the latest major DLC pack that we're getting for Fire Emblem Three Houses, and probably the last. I'm not sure about that, but from what it looks like, it's only that. So right off the bat, I like that because they're not shoehorning new stuff like the other ones. So this whole DLC takes place in its own isolated storyline. When you go to the menu, you put side story, and that's how you start the Cinderwolves kind of thing. You start off just talking outside with the three main characters, Claude, Dimitri, and Edelgard, and they're like, oh, there's this big hole there, let's go into it. And, and then they're like, oh, we can't go alone. And then three students appear in the respective house. Ash from Blue Lions, and then we got Hilda from Golden Deer, and Leonard from Black Eagles. So I'm like, wow, I didn't even get to pick my characters, but that's fine. They're all preset for that way. So y'all go down and investigate what said hole leads to, and it leads to this underground city called Abyss, right under the church. And I'm like, yeah, that's safe. But there's this whole fourth house living there, and the leader is this guy named Yuri, which is a trickster. It's kind of like Claude, but more scheming evil than scheming for good. But I think they were going for this whole, vague kind of gray area anti-hero. And then we got introduced to other characters. The big guy, I forgot his name, but Hilda calls him Baldy, and I remember that. So from now on, I'm gonna call them Baldy. And then you get down there, and the first thing they do First thing you do, classic Fire Emblem, that is fight before you introduce yourselves. And that's exactly what they did. They fought us, and then after the fight it was like, oh hey, we're cool. And this is not, you know, exclusive to this game. All Fire Emblem games have that special trait where they fight before they introduce themselves for some reason. But that does give you a taste of the characters you are going to get familiar with the expansion pass. Alright, so each character does come with its unique class, which I love. Yuri is the trickster, Baldi is the war monk, I believe. Constance is the dark flyer, whatever that means. And Hippie is the Valkyrie. Alright, so now onto the story. They introduce themselves, you know, water under the bridge, and we get introduced to other people of Abyss, and we get to actually explore Abyss, which isn't that big. It feels like another story of the monastery. It doesn't really feel like Grand or Abyss. It just feels like a poorly lit place. So you get to explore Abyss, see what it offers, which isn't really much. I did like the library, though you can't really do anything in there. It does look like a pretty library. That's pretty much it. Also, you have another statue. Now this one's a little bit different. You gotta buy certain items with your renown points, which is good. But they do cost a lot of renown. But in case you're in a pinch, you know, you can waste your renown in there. So I'm gonna summarize this plot without spoiling stuff, but you're on this mission to get a chalice to help your friend Alfred. Well, not your friend. He kind of made the Abyss. He's a cardinal, so he's high up in the church, and he keeps all these people safe and whatnot. So the whole campaign is about 6 hours, and yeah, and that's pretty much your objective. I personally don't like the story because there's a lot of inconsistencies with it, a lot of like things that don't make sense, or just like, why didn't you know that? But something I did like about the story is that you get to play with the 3 houses without them fighting each other. So that's pretty cool, and you get to have interactions with them, and they get to spend some time together before, you know, that all that stuff happens. Now on to the gameplay. So you got 2 options, normal and hard. Now I chose hard because I was like, you know, it's hard. And you have an option between classic and casual. Now classic is the permadeath, and casual is not the permadeath. So with all that in mind, I picked hard, casual, and I got my body owned. It was hard, and so I went back to normal. So the difficulty comes in the limited amount of units you have and the skills they have, because they're all preset. Like my Byleth and my other save file was more magic based. I had a lot of healing and stuff, but the Byleth I play as in the Ashen Wolves expansion pass is just a sword Byleth, and it's weird. And same goes for the other characters. Dimitri is not Dimitri, vice versa. Everybody has their own set, and you can't really move or reclass. You just gotta do what you have pretty much, and that's where the difficulty lies. And it's kind of hard because they throw a bunch of enemies at you, like all kinds of different enemies, and you just gotta do what you have. The only 2 units that deal a lot of damage is Edelgard and Dimitri. But the thing is, it did suck when I got onto maps that had so many enemies coming from freaking I don't know where. Yo, what the heck? Where do they come from?
It would behoove you to watch your back.
It would behoove you to shut up. And you have a limited amount of units, and they can't really do much because you're surrounded by tanks and you don't really have a magic caster near you. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the maps. I hate them. They are huge, and like, okay, once you're fighting in an arena and it's freaking big for no reason, and it's very hard to get your units to move, and it's very tedious, and a lot of these levels have turn caps where if you don't beat it at said turn, you die. So that was annoying because the maps were outrageously huge for no reason. Enemies spawn out of freaking nowhere. And there was this one level that was kind of cool but kind of frustrating. Is you're trying to escape and there's a bunch of like enemies behind you, and there's like certain points where you go and you close the gate so you could escape. That one was very frustrating because they give you a limited amount of turns to take everybody through each gate. Everybody has to go through the gate. You can't leave one over there. No, everybody, and then go on. And then what frustrated me the most is there's a goal. So I had Dimitri, since he was on a horse, I had him go further, and he made it, and I thought it was the end because somebody made it to the goal. No, you had to drag everybody to that place. And Edelgard is a tank, so she's gonna take forever to move. And it was annoying. It was annoying. It's like, why do we have to get each individual person there? It usually stops when at least one person goes to the goal. No, I really didn't like the maps. Like, at first I thought they were cute, but then they were like, well, I'm just looking at the same things over and over again. They do have these tiles that grant you a boost in something, but rarely did I ever pay attention to them because I was trying to stay alive somewhere else. So the gameplay was challenging. I necessarily didn't love it or even like it, but it was somewhat challenging, and I guess I had fun even though they got really annoying. Ultimately, is it worth the buy? No. Why? Because it doesn't really add much to the game to justify $25. The maps are very annoying, and I feel like the story is really lacking. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. I would appreciate it. And if you like my content, I would love to see more. Hit that subscribe button, and while you're down there, ring a ding ding that bell so you get notified when my videos or live streams drop. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did you get the expansion pass? Did you enjoy it? Or are you like on the fence about it? Please let me know. You can follow me on Twitter at MandyleePlays. I hope you guys have a beautiful day and play a good game. Bye.